What's up, guys? Jameson Hill here with another episode of Ask Jamo. That's right, the sometimes bi-weekly, sometimes bi-monthly, sometimes weekly podcast episode thing where I answer all the questions from the Shellz community. That's right, you. In the Ask Jamo channel of our Discord, you are able to ask any question and have it answered by me. I answer pretty much all of them. So here we go. Let's get to the episode. All right, the first person to ask some questions in this week's episode, episode 4, is nightfaLL. Question number 1. Afterlife still has a future use case. Have a lot of spirit foregrounds. If not, maybe I will burn some for trackz. What about the teddy bear trait? You mentioned that there will be something special around this. All right, so the Afterlife trait is meant to signify and give provenance and give specialty to those characters, to the characters that are spirits, etc. They will play a vital role in the TV show. They will, all around just be pretty dope characters. That being said, there's some Afterlife traits like sprites, which probably weren't supposed to make it into the collection, but I put them into the collection because I said it on a space once, and I made the mistake. But since I said it, I held true to my word, and now there's about 600 Afterlife traits. Unfortunate thing about building out this project was Afterlife was supposed to be a delineage to help or to give more staking points. Unfortunately, Tribe hasn't built the feature that allows us to give more staking points to certain traits yet. They're only giving us the ability to reward traits or reward one token, one amount of points. So the full utility or the full planned utility of Afterlife just hasn't really been able to be realized. And I don't know if it ever will. That is sort of up to their timeline. I think, from talking with them, that there will be something that happens, but I don't know when that's going to happen. And I also don't know how much of an impact that's going to play as we transition from just Shellz to Shellz plus trackz. So don't really have too much of an answer concrete for you on that one. The teddy bear trait, I love that trait. It's definitely a possibility that we do something with it. It's something that we sneaked back in the day in order to get Discord invite codes. So it might play a really special place. Maybe the teddy bear ends up in the series and we're able to reward teddy bear holders some way, via stuff from the series. Okay, next question. Number 2, any future use case of teddy bear trait? We sort of went over that. I read the writer's strike. Are the Neese brothers striking as well? Yeah. I think if you follow them on Instagram, they are in full support of the strike. They are in full support of benefits for creative individuals. I myself am as well. Sorry, I just touched the mic and you probably heard a big boom. But actors, writers, cinematographers, everybody needs to be paid fairly. And with this new type of media that we're going, this kind of like fast media, this streaming media, the writers need to protect themselves. The last time they striked it, I believe it was, around 2008, and streaming wasn't really a thing yet. So since the last time they striked, there have been totally crazy amounts of stuff that happened into the space. And particularly for the streaming industry, they need to get paid for that. And so listen, let them strike. They'll be done eventually. And when they're done, we will have a fully formed pitch to go to the networks, Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, etc., that we think is going to have a good chance of getting picked up, because the Neese brothers did not stop writing during the writer's strike. They're just striking with them. They didn't stop producing either. They've been working on a film out in the desert with Kevin Costner. I mean, these guys are beasts, and they are going to do everything in their power to get us both a comic book deal done and a TV show. It's coming. We just don't know when. The guy who we're pitching the first comic book to, he's actually filming a period piece right now in Pennsylvania. As soon as he's done filming that piece and he's back in Los Angeles, I fly to Los Angeles, I meet with him, and we start talking about the comic book deal. If he doesn't grab this, the guy's name's Ash, by the way, Sumerian Comics. Guy's name's Ash. If he doesn't jump on it, then we'll go to somebody else. Dark Horse, I believe the Neese brothers have contacts with, so that's definitely on our radar. Next question, Jordan. One thing I was thinking is OEOs can be traded for black amulets that would actually make the mint process more simple for the team, for the trackz, or AI. So one of the things about the manifold contract is it's hard to mint into the same token, or you can't mint into the same token multiple times. There can't be multiple mints for the exact same token, as far as I know. So I could change OEOs into black amulets, but they wouldn't actually be the black amulet, token number 2 on the item's contract. So that's one little limitation that we're working with. And, yeah, that's just a limitation that we're working in. What any of the amulets or orb energy optimizers are used for, when to burn them or keep them. So we just enabled you to burn orb energy, amulets, etc. for the AI collection. Again, planned date on the AI collection is around middle of August, so it's coming up soon. And we believe there will be a burn for amulets or OEOs. Keep in mind, it'll be quite expensive for the trackz collection, and it'll be in a limited supply, but there will be some way to get into the trackz collection via an OEO burn, or violet amulets, black amulets, and definitely the white amulets. Is there a clear explanation of recent events and the rationale behind the decisions that have been made? Well, there's no context to that question, so I guess I can't answer it. Jordan, please feel free to answer a more, or ask a more thoughtful question in the next episode. Next question, SMR Rodman. Number 1. Should I save some of my OEO? Will there be a future use, or is it sole purpose for the AI collection? Here's the big root of the question, right? Should you save some? You could, or you could get as many AI Shellz as you can, right? The OEOs and the items collection is a utility collection. It's not art. You're likely here because you loved the art, and we have Vorpal, an incredible artist who spent the last 6 months of his life creating this AI collection. And I think that we should support him in this one. Save a few, because you never know if they're going to be useful. But remember, another use case of the OEOs is to put them on sale, right? Is to sell them to people who might want them. So if there's future use cases, you can possibly sell them to other people in the community who might need them to get things, right? If there's an OEO burn in the future for, let's say, trackz, maybe you can get out of those OEOs because you already have as much of an allocation for the trackz as you want. Will there be a future use case? I think that covers the future use case. When is AI reveal? The AI reveal, it will be pretty soon after the mint. Vorpal, it's the collection should be actually finished by the time we mint. So It just has to get put into the system, uploaded to IPFS, etc., and then the reveals should be pretty simple and quick. If I were to make an estimate, the price is 0.0432. 0.0432 is the price of the AI collection for those who have not burned OEOs or Shellz to get your mint pass. Next, we move over to Moon Snooker. I remember there was some talk about throwing around ideas for potential utility. Let's get a bit of dialogue going and get a feel of what everyone would like to see. Yeah, we could definitely start. Listen, you want utility? There's forums that can be created. We have the Orb Stash DAO, which not many people have utilized. If you want something done in this community, make an Orb Stash proposal. Let's get those funds being used for stuff, right? Typically, you know, or how it's been, the team has proposed almost all of the proposals for the Orb Stash DAO. And that's not the way it's supposed to work. The community is supposed to make proposals. There's, I don't know, currently $8,000 in there sitting for you guys to use. Figure out something or come up with an idea. Come up with an idea to create utility. Like, figure out what's a give back. Figure out how to make the Shellz Orb experience and community better for you. And then propose it. That's why it's there. Okay. Setting the ambition slider to maximum to start with, trackz. Lords of the Orb could receive an airdrop of a trackz pass. Moon Snooker wants some utility for our biggest holders. Merch. Shellz merch looks dope. The ability to trade OEOs for Shellz from the graveyard, not sure how this could work. A lot of people like the tokens that are inside of the graveyard, and it's been something that we've been discussing internally, what to do with them. I think that they should just be burned. I don't think Onyx needs to burn them for anything, so to speak. And we'll see what happens with those. But if there are tokens in there that people do want, maybe there is like a 2-for-1 deal or something like that, where you send Onyx 2 tokens and you could pick any token out of there. And maybe that runs for a few weeks and then everything left over just gets burned. I think that's what should sort of happen with the graveyard. But you guys can make Orb Stash DAO proposals to stop that from happening. If you think that those Shellz should be used for some other purpose. Some of you guys have brought up, we could give them to influencers, etc., spread them out, give them to people that don't have Shellz that we want to bring into the community. But it's up to you. I don't want to make a decision without you guys on this one. PR4 NKE, Pranky. Hey, what about IP rights of this collection? Can we do merch or any physical goods? I believe IP rights are granted to the token holders of AI, and they also will be for the trackz collection. So whichever collection you were referring to, yes, you will get IP rights. Next, over to Dirty Donnelly. Number 1, the blueprint for the trackz shows 5 characters for S tier mints, etc. What does this mean specifically? So the first collection of Shellz had 28 characters base, right? These are your the different types of Shellz inside of the different factions. You have Geo, you have Bug, etc. Those are characters. In the S tier is made up of 300 tokens, and those tokens will be divided among 5 characters. The A tier will have 4 characters, so it'll be 300 divided by 4 characters, which I believe that's 75. What is that? Yeah. 75 characters each. And then the B tier will have 3 characters, 100 characters per, or 100 per character. The C tier will have 2 characters, 150 per character, and the D tier will have only 1 character. There's a proposal to add a little bit to each tier. So the A tier would be maybe 225, or I'm sorry, would be 325 or 350. The B tier would be maybe 400. The C tier would be 450. The D tier would be 500. It's up in the air, but we're basically contemplating how we create actual rarity within the tiers. The characters themselves will be more rare because they will have less iterations, but I think it's also important for the tiers to have a little bit of rarity in them as well, so that the tiers actually are a good indication of rarity. Will S tier feature every artist? I'm not sure. Are there any added benefits to minting S tier trackz, such as more orb energy generation or staking or anything? The benefits of that have not been communicated yet. Have you considered a manual reveal for the trackz, which would turn them, which would then in turn create a secondary market for unrevealed tokens? Yes, we are considering some sort of manual reveal, going over so many different types of options, taking inspiration from all of the things that worked inside of Web3 over the course of the last 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 to 16 to 24 months. We want to, do this right. It's the trackz collection is like we have a second chance. We did really well on the Shellz orb collection, right? But it wasn't necessarily the best PFP in the world, and we didn't attract enough of a PFP style community. We attracted a lot of art collectors, and there's a lot of people that are silent in our community. But I think that this new PFP style art has the opportunity and chance to catch on in a much more impactful way than did the Shellz orb collection. That's why we're burning Shellz to the ground, and we're igniting trackz to go to the absolute fucking moon, because we just think that it has a better shot. It's all part of the story. It's all going in the TV show and the comic book, etc. You're going to love these characters. You're going to love this art. You're even going to love this AI stuff, because some of this AI stuff also is going to end up in the TV show. It's wild. I look at Vorpal's AI collection and I get incredibly inspired. And I know the Neese brothers do too, because we're in chats with them and they're just like, holy shit, this is fucking fire, right? So, yeah, we're trying to move forward. We're trying to grow. There's a lot of people sitting inside of the community that are like, oh, Shellz, you're a dead project, etc. And you want to know what? There's a lot of freaking dead projects, and there's a lot of projects that just gave up. There's a lot of projects that stopped working. We're not one of them. We might have incredibly all-time low volume, but guess what? We had all-time low volume before, and that didn't stop us from working. In September of last year, we had almost no volume whatsoever. And right now, guess what? It's the summer. If I were you, I'd be on the beach, hanging out with your girlfriends, your wives, your husbands, your kids, whoever it is, enjoying family time. Like, enjoy this time. Because when we come into the fall, dude, the colder months are NFT season. We're coming back. Bitcoin halving is coming up. That means, crypto is going to go back into some sort of a mini bull cycle. There's good roads ahead. And the work that we put in over this last year and a half, 2 years, whatever it was, it's all going to start to pay off. It's all going to start to pay off. And it's my belief that there will be some nice headlines, and that we, for once, will start to gather the attention and gain the attention of some of these fucking media outlets. Anywho. Okay, so Dirty Donnelly, you know, he goes on to consider how the Azuki Elementals did it. I've been looking a lot at Ranga and the black boxes and how that process has been done. I think it's, you know, probably quite similar to Azuki Elementals, but listen, we're trying to pull in as much from what works inside of Web3 as possible, and we're not going to fully launch the trackz until we got it right. SMR Rodman asks, who is doing the analytics when determining burn metrics? It's me. I go through and do all of the math on how things are calculated. It's, you know, why was it 4 OEOs? Well, because I wanted all of the OEOs that were available to be burned, 4,000 of them to be burned, right? There's still a bunch left and people slept on it. Not many people are burning. The idea behind why 4,000 OEOs should have been burned was because I wanted to deplete the supply of orb energy by about 50% going into the trackz mint. If that doesn't happen, I have to rework the numbers on what I presume exists for us to give the trackz mint some burnability for the items collection. We want to make sure that it's not, you know, quote unquote cheap or too cheap for everyone. We also want to create arbitrage opportunities. We want people to be able to sell OEOs. You know, it's not necessarily that we're catering only to the people who are hodling their OEOs. We also are trying to create an environment where there's demand for them, right? And if we're able to create an environment where there's demand for these OEOs, I think it's better for our ecosystem. It also helps us generate secondary sales revenue, which helps fund the team and pay the salaries, which are, you know, not nothing, right? You have Nikki and Chainsaws hanging out in the server all the time, answering all of your questions. They have families to feed, and we have to figure out ways to keep them on payroll and pay them. So I'm trying my hardest to figure out ways to create a sustainable ecosystem for Shellz, working my fucking ass off to create stuff. You know, Ocean and I, we're working on a Bitcoin mining operation, or a mining operation that hopefully after the trackz mint will generate us passive income so that we can hire more people and have a sustainable revenue for the orb. Because, you know, just doing mints, and it's impossible to rely on secondary sales revenue to keep a company alive. We need good people. We need revenue. And we're working on that. We're working tirelessly to come up with ideas and ways to make this a sustainable business. Yes, you know, we're not Yuga. We don't make millions and millions of dollars every week in secondary sales revenue. We haven't gotten VC funding. We're trying our best to create our own path and to build a lane for the orb and the entire community that gets built around this art that we're creating. Why don't we use community funds to hire a dev team? Definitely a possibility. You might be seeing a OrbDAO submission pretty soon for that one. Staking, claiming, and burning has all led to slight problems because we do not have a website and a dev team. Dev teams are incredibly expensive. I just want you guys to know. Manifold is a dev team. Richard from Manifold is probably one of the smartest Web3 people in the space. I would have to say. Yeah, we have opted out for the mechanics of a custom website. Why? Because I don't like getting bent over by devs. They just charge too much money. It's ridiculous. What I'd rather do is spend money on the artists and the people that are here building. That being said, yeah, we're going to spend some money. The trackz website's going to be pretty dope, right? The burn website, all those mechanics, they're going to be dope. And there will be a dev that does them, right? But and we also are working on getting a Shellz Orb website, a new one, designed. Again, people try to charge a lot of money, and I don't like to pay a lot of money, right? I like to keep the funds inside of this business so that we don't bleed out like all of the other projects that just fucking quit. Anyway, sorry for swearing. Sorry for being Jamo. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Ask Jamo. It was a little bit different than some of the other episodes. I think this episode was a little bit more real. I felt like there's been some tension inside of the community, and that's good. It's good that there's tension. It means that we're actually doing something. And I want to give a big shout out to everybody that's watching this and that's stayed and watched all 20 or 30 minutes of this, stayed all the way to the end, because it's you that keeps this community together. Listen, Shellz up. We are Shellz strong. We are moving forward. We are going to get through the bear market together. We're going to have a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of cool art to collect and a lot of projects to watch grow. I hope all of you guys enjoy these last weeks of our super hot summer. Go to the beach, hang out with your wife, your husband, your kids, etc. And get ready for that AI mint, because that shit's going to be dope. I'll see you guys in the next episode.